This is Unit 7, Targets 1 and 2 worksheet number 8. So this corresponds with Target 2, using the midpoint to find another endpoint. I have one endpoint given, 10, 8, and I'm going to have another endpoint, x comma y. Then I'm going to use my midpoint formula with the midpoint to find the values I need. So if I take the x's, 10 plus x divided by 2, because it's the average of the x's, that's going to equal the x coordinate of the midpoint. So that's going to equal 5. Then I solve that algebra equation by multiplying both sides by 2. 2 times 10 plus x, and then divide by 2, just gives me 10 plus x. 5 times 2 is 10, and so if I subtract 10 on both sides, I get x equals 0. So x equals 0 is going to be the coordinate for my midpoint. Then if I take the y values, 8 plus y divided by 2, and set that equal to the y value, -1, of the midpoint, I can find the y value that makes that work. So multiply both sides by 2. 8 plus y equals -2. Subtract 8 and y equals -10. So my other endpoint should be at 0, -10. I'm going to show another way to do that besides the algebra equations. Just trying to get this out of the way. Another way to do this is from the perspective of transformations. If I translate the endpoint to the midpoint, I have to translate the x and the y. So the x is going to go from 10 to 5, which means I'm going to the left 5, or I'm subtracting 5. So if I want to keep going that same direction, I'm going to subtract 5 from the midpoint, and I'll get 0. For the y values, if I'm going from 8 to -1, that means I went down by 9 units. To go down, I need to subtract 9. -1 minus 9 is -10. So 0, -10 is my midpoint. And you can look at that on a graph if you wanted to. 10, 8, let's say, is right here. And so when I went left 5 and down 9, I got to the midpoint, which was at 5, -1. So then I went left 5 again and down 9, and I ended up at 0, -10.